Michigan at 4-2. I really think they're just here for namesake, and because they're last year's national champion. Show me more out of Michigan, and I will believe you. But until then, they're just here for namesake. And let's run down this AP top 25. I think it's been, last weekend was a good weekend for college football. You know, the weekend before, everybody was telling us that there wasn't going to be no good matchups, and then there were very, very, very good matchups. And then, you know, last week was another solid week that continued on with the parity, with the realignment, and what's going on. But let's take a look at the top 25. At number 1, we got Texas. Now, Texas looks like they are not going anywhere. I mean, the only team that can beat Texas is Texas themselves. They still got to play a gauntlet of SEC teams, and so there's a lot to go on there. But you know, they are clicking on all cylinders. Obviously, they got the quarterback situation situated, and if they don't have it, they still got the other quarterback situation situated. And you know, it's looking good right now for Texas to really get that first round bye in the playoffs. Oregon moved up to number 2 as they beat Ohio State. You know what I mean? And when I look at this, I can't stand Oregon. You know, I'm a bandwagon buff, so you know I can't stand me no Dan Lanning. But whatever, they're clicking up. They're doing pretty good. Dylan Gabriel is really has really been everything they needed him to be at quarterback. And for that being said, you know what I mean, you know, it was a close game, you know, and most predict that, you know, Oregon, Ohio State will meet again at some point, you know, possibly the Big Ten championship, you know what I mean. And I just saw a lot in this game. My dark horse Heisman candidate, Jeremiah Smith, had a good game, but still Ohio State left some things to be desired in the last few minutes. So very interesting game. Penn State, they went out to USC and did what they needed to do. I would say that, you know, the first half was a little sloppy, but number 44 went off. I forget what his name, Ulrich or something like that. He is a problem. Like he is like a Travis Hunter of tight ends. You know what I mean, to say the least. I mean, he snapped the ball, caught a touchdown, caught passes, ran block. I mean, he did everything, and he definitely opened up some eyes for people like Andy Reid and others in the NFL who are creative playmakers at the next level of what he can do. Ohio State, obviously, we talked about them. They lost to Oregon this weekend, and they'll be back. You know what I mean? I think that I honestly leaned the other way in this because I thought Chip Kelly going back home with the talented Ohio State squad just to kind of give Oregon the finger and say, you know, you could have had this on the second rehire, but you didn't. But whatever, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Georgia, you know, hey, you know, Georgia going Georgia. Miami, you know what I mean, at number 6. Number 7 is Alabama. They kind of kept it close, but, you know, Alabama looked like, you know, Jalen Milroe looked like he was back in rare form. LSU really showed up and showed out against Ole Miss this weekend, and they did what they needed to do. Iowa State has just been a pillar of consistency. You know, like I said, one year they're down, the next year they're up. You know, after everything they faced last year, to be at number 9 in the Big 12, they might be the dark horse. That might be the person that everybody's not talking about, that they're in the Big 12 that might win it all. You know, real talk. At number 10 is Clemson. They bounced back. They've been bouncing back well against that game against Georgia where they got spanked. And it just looks like Clemson is doing what it needs to do to at least be there in the playoffs, in the playoff hunt in the ACC. Now, they still got to play Miami when it's all said and done. It'll be between one of those two teams because the ACC isn't a strong enough conference right now to really have two teams in the playoffs, but definitely one team. Tennessee, they took a L. But they're down to the number 11. Notre Dame is, again, just another pillar of consistency when it comes to everything like that. BYU, the Mormon bullies, you know what I mean? BYU has been just doing what they needed to do in the Big 12. They're like a surprise to the Big 12 this year. Again, I was thinking about Colorado and the rest of the teams they got to face in the Big 12. I think BYU might be the most physical team outside of Nebraska that they have faced. They will face this year if they play them. I'm not sure. I got to double check their schedule. Texas A&M, Boise State. Texas A&M at 14, Boise State at 15. Ashton Genty, you know what I mean? It's interesting. Is he gonna win the Heisman? I don't know, but my boy has got it. You know, Indiana is up right now at number 16. Last week they was 18. This week they're 16. You know what I mean? And they got some things to do against Nebraska this week. If they beat Nebraska, they got to move up. They're going to move up heavy, because I think if they have a good showing against Nebraska this week, I think that you could seriously see Indiana taking a big leap into like the top 10 at least. 10, 11, they're at 16 now, so I could see them moving like 4 or 5 spots, especially with Nebraska making their return to the top 25. Kansas State, they pulled out that I don't want to say last minute victory, because they had Colorado left way too much time on the clock for this to be a last minute victory, and they did what they need to do. This game was weird though. I'll talk about it more later, but this game was very, very weird across the board. But hey, they did what they needed to do. They're at number 17. Ole Miss, obviously, they had the loss against LSU, and at 5-2. It's getting a little. The hill gets a little bit steeper to climb at the end of the year. But again, the SEC, we don't know how that's going to play out, because obviously the SEC is the SEC. At number 19, Missouri. You know what I mean? Missouri is it's doing all right. Last week they had a rough one. They had a rough go at it against Texas A&M, but they're back on track. Pittsburgh at number 20, the surprise team of the ACC. Nobody saw Pittsburgh coming, but Pittsburgh. But however that works out, Pittsburgh is at number 20. SMU, another pillar. They just got to the ACC, and just for all they got going on, shout out to them. They're in the top 21. Illinois, again, just another pillar of consistency. Army at 6-0. Surprise, Army is really doing their thing, and they're throwing the ball a little bit. Michigan at 4-2. I really think they're just here for namesake, and because they're last year's national champion. Show me more out of Michigan and I will believe you, but until then, they're just here for namesake. And at number 25, Navy. So Army and Navy is going to be almost must-see TV, as it seems to be. So there's your top 25.